Charisma: How to Influence, Persuade, and Inspire. Author Olivia Cabane. Subtitles by freebooksummary. Introduction. What is charisma? Imagine you walk into a room, and you are instantly noticed. They want to listen to you, seek your attention, and favor you. It's as if the world begins to spin around you. People strive to do what you want and want to become like you. This is charisma. Such abilities certainly give a huge competitive advantage in business, in leadership, so such people are more successful and effective. That charisma is useful far beyond business. It is traditionally believed that charisma is not acquired, but innate, given from above quality. However, this is a misconception. If charisma was innate, it would be manifested constantly and from childhood. However, the most charismatic people are very discreet and admit that they did not always have this skill. Sociologists, psychologists, cognitive scientists, and behaviorists have actively studied this phenomenon. Thanks to these studies, today we can say that all charismatic personalities behave in a certain way, and it is this behavior that determines the magical effect they have on people. It is a skill that requires hard work. Presence, power, and warmth are the three most important aspects of charismatic behavior. By developing certain skills that do not require a change in personality and individuality, anyone can enhance and develop their charisma. By using the tools outlined below in a regular practice of communicating with people, the skills will become habits, and habits will turn into nature. The foundation of charisma: presence, power, and warmth. Charismatic behavior involves three main components: presence, power, and warmth. Imagine a conversation in which your interlocutor pretends to listen attentively to you, but it is obvious that he or she is not very interested in the conversation and is thinking somewhere far away from here. What do you feel? Resentment, annoyance that you are being ignored, irritation. Being present means being aware of what's happening every moment, getting into the essence of what's going on, not flying off into your own thoughts. It's normal that being present and centered is a difficult practice for most of us. But since focus is a very rare quality, even if you strengthen it just a little bit, you will immediately gain significantly on the overall background. A person's strength is their ability to influence the world around them. Warmth is a benevolence to other people, which tells us whether a person will use his power for our benefit. The combination of strength and warmth is an extremely rare thing, but both of these qualities are important for charisma. In the summer of 1886 in Great Britain, there was an election where William Gladstone and Benjamin Disraeli were competing for the post of Prime Minister. Shortly before the election, both candidates invited the same woman to dinner. She later shared her impressions with reporters after lunch with Mr. Gladstone. "I thought he was the smartest man in England," and after lunch with Mr. Disraeli, "I thought the smartest man in England was me." Who do you think won the election? He who knew how to make another person feel smart, bright, and charming. Benjamin Disraeli. 1. William Gladstone radiated intelligence and power, and Disraeli radiated both power and warmth. The importance of psycho-emotional state. Researchers at the University of Massachusetts have found, in their research, that they can predict the outcome of business negotiations by the body language of the participants with 87% accuracy. It seems incredible that words have such a negligible impact. But for charisma, what you broadcast non-verbally is far more important than the words you say. If your body translates presence, power, and warmth, you can be silent and still make a charismatic impression. The body language cannot be consciously controlled down to the smallest nuances. The body reacts involuntarily to your inner state. Therefore, you should learn to manage your psycho-emotional state, because it is our body language that expresses it. Another important fact is that your mind does not distinguish fact from fiction. Have you ever felt your heart beating faster while watching a horror movie? But it's just a movie, and you're not in any danger. However, you get involved in the process, you start to believe in it, and your body produces adrenaline in response. The brain cannot distinguish between imaginary situations and real ones and sends the same signals to the body. In medicine, this property is the basis for the placebo effect, which can lead to amazing results. Ellen Lanner, a professor of psychology at Harvard University, gathered together a group of elderly patients and created around them the atmosphere of the time when they were 20 to 30 years old with food, clothes, music, etc. The results of the study showed that the patient's skin became firmer, their vision improved, their muscle strength increased, they became younger. Imagination can greatly enhance or suppress your charisma, creating charismatic psycho-emotional states. So, for charisma, what you broadcast non-verbally is much more important than the words you say. And our body language expresses our psycho-emotional state. What tools can help us manage our psycho-emotional state? Visualization. For many decades, professional athletes have been using visualization techniques in their training. Golfer Jack Nicklaus admits that before every ball he hits, he always visualizes how it hits the hole. There is already scientific evidence to support the fact that visualization activates the parts of the brain that are responsible for the activity you are visualizing. The more we work the brain, the more new areas are engaged, the more neural connections are activated, and the stronger they become. Do visualization the night before presentations and important meetings. Visualize the entire process of upcoming communication, handshakes, smiles, and so on. Use this technique anytime you feel very excited. Gratitude, benevolence, and empathy. Warmth is an important quality for the manifestation of charisma, and anyone can show warmth, even if for some reason it seems to you that you are heartless. Step 1. Gratitude. Gratitude is the flip side of resentment and despair. Gratitude comes from appreciating what we already have. But many of us have a hard time being grateful. We tend to take favors for granted. Start paying attention to the little things, to the imperceptible things and circumstances of your life, to such joys as a warm sun, a cloudless sky, a charming waiter in a cafe, a delicious dinner. Step 2. Benevolence and compassion. People tell me that when communicating with the certainly charismatic Bill Clinton, they had the impression that now they are the only ones in the world for him. When you focus on someone's well-being, you become imbued with it, and the warmth is reflected on your face and in your body. Benevolence produces the joy hormones oxytocin and serotonin in the body. In addition, if your goal is to express goodwill, you don't obsess about the outcome of the meeting itself, and the less anxious you are about the outcome, the more charisma you have. Another important aspect of benevolence is compassion, which manifests itself in a willingness to show care and participation. Step 3. Self-compassion. Warmth toward oneself is self-compassion. This is the most difficult and most important manifestation of warmth. One can have self-confidence but not have self-compassion. Self-compassion is not self-pity. In fact, they are mutually exclusive qualities. Self-pity is seeing everything that happens as an injustice, while self-compassion is recognizing what is happening. Pity turns us into resentment and bitterness, while self-compassion helps us forgive ourselves for failure. It saves us from the blows of the inner critic. Brian, a successful and ambitious bank manager, suffered from an inner critic who nagged at every little thing, giving him no peace of mind. By practicing self-compassion, Brian felt a change. He felt confident and felt more like the pack leader than ever before. Ironically, self-compassion allowed him to emerge as a more confident leader. There are exercises in Buddhist practice that develop self-compassion. One of them is metta, literally loving kindness, the practice of consciously developing good intention toward all living things. Metta training. Sit back and close your eyes. Take 2 to 3 conscious deep breaths. Recall a moment in your life when you performed a good, noble deed. Focus on it. Think of an entity, mythical or real, e.g., Jesus, Buddha, Mother Teresa, Dalai Lama, who could show you great sympathy. Feel the warmth, kindness, and compassion emanating from this source. See it in his face and body. Feel this feeling envelope you. Look at yourself through his eyes, full of acceptance and forgiveness. You are now completely pure. You are now perfect. You are perfect with all your thoughts and feelings. You are perfect with all your imperfections. You are approved. You are accepted as you are. Even if you don't notice the changes immediately, keep practicing. Self-criticism, feelings of shame, and inferiority will become weaker and weaker. Use your body to influence your thinking. So far we have emphasized that the mind controls the body, but the reverse process is also possible. Emotions and the body are so interconnected that any posture you make has the power to change your thoughts. Psychological scientists from Harvard and Columbia universities found that those subjects whose gestures and voice expressed determination and strength had biochemical reactions in their bodies that made them feel more confident and courageous. Those whose gestures expressed submission, however, triggered reactions in the body that stimulated a state of insecurity and fear. The big gorilla pose and the king's pose are useful for manifesting nonverbal power. Become the big gorilla. Ella is a fragile student who is about to attend a kickboxing class for the first time. She is nervous, expecting a tough physical exercise. But her first assignment was completely different. The coach sends her to find a crowded place and for an hour try to make them give way to her. Slight collisions are acceptable. Do you have any ideas on how to accomplish such a task? Professional boxers will tell you that the fight starts long before you enter the ring. Attitude, inner strength and impressiveness often determine the winner. What if you feel like a big gorilla now? Would it change the way passers-by react to you? In any appropriate situation, even on your way to work, practice getting others to give you space. Royal pose, self-control and pose are characteristic of unflappable personalities. Their gestures are minimal. There is nothing unnecessary in them. The classic example is James Bond. Strong people are not concerned about what is thought of them. Therefore, they are reserved and they don't have the impulse to do anything to be liked. Self-control is hindered by the following 3 factors: excessive and rapid nodding of the head, frequent nodding like yes, yes, I agree, impatience, strong excitement. To demonstrate royal calm, first find out how you look from the outside. To this end, you can videotape yourself during some negotiations, or ask a friend to tell you when he or she notices you're giving in again. Warm up before key events. Before athletes run a marathon, they warm up. Likewise with charisma, don't expect to be able to switch it from 0 to 100% easily. If you have an important meeting to attend, pay close attention to everything that goes into your head the day before. Do not plan activities the day before that may make you feel unwell. Engage in activities that will make you feel confident and calm. Olivia's client, Stephen, once told her that he was once preparing for a presentation in front of a large audience and was very nervous. On a walk before the meeting, he happened to meet an old friend he hadn't seen in a while. They had a warm conversation. This meeting put Stephen in a positive mood, and the upcoming presentation stopped worrying him. As a result, the performance was very easy, and Stephen gave the impression of a relaxed and satisfied person. Different styles of charisma. There are different leadership styles and personalities of people, so there are also different styles of charisma. Both the Dalai Lama and Madonna attract people to them, while giving a very different impression. There is no universal style of charisma. When choosing a style, rely on 3 criteria: your personality, your goals, specific situations. In addition, it is not necessary to always stick to one style of charisma. Alternate them according to the setting and achieve your versatility. Obstacles to demonstrating charisma. Physical discomfort. To people met on the terrace of a cafe on a hot, sunny day. This meeting was to determine a deal worth millions of dollars. Tom had been grooming Paul for many months, offering his software. This meeting was crucial. At the meeting, Paul asked a lot of questions about risks. But Tom was confident in the reliability of his system, and he always had a reasoned answer. Everything was going well, but at one point Paul felt that Tom was becoming too tense. Paul thought that his partner's stiffness was due to his uncertainty about their business, and as a result Paul began to have doubts. Although Paul was not wrong in noticing Tom's discomfort, he was wrong in the main in interpreting the causes. This discomfort was not caused by the specifics of their case, but simply because Tom was simply hot in a black wool suit in the direct sun. Your physical discomfort, in the form of anger or irritation, always becomes visible to those around you. And since people do not know the true cause of your condition, they tend to take everything on their own account as your reaction to their words and actions. To avoid this, use the following tips to anticipate any potential discomfort in advance. Monitor and notice tension in your body. The stronger your skill of being present, the more natural and easy it will be to do this. If you feel tension from physical discomfort before others interpret it in their own way, explain to them what is really going on. Mental discomfort. Mental discomfort affects us more detrimentally than physical discomfort. When you learn how to manage it, you will become much stronger. Anxiety caused by uncertainty. Robert Leahy, director of the American Institute of Cognitive Therapy, says that his patients have admitted that they would rather hear a bad diagnosis than remain in the dark about what is happening to them. We don't like uncertainty. Our brain instinctively seeks safety in what it understands. Ambiguity is an alarm bell. Uncertainty can be dealt with by transferring responsibility. The method of shifting responsibility doesn't get rid of uncertainty, but it does make it less uncomfortable, allowing us to worry less or not at all. This is the use of the placebo effect for the mind. Comparison dissatisfaction. Imagine it's Friday night and you're at a dinner party. The atmosphere is pretty dreary, especially compared to the party you had the night before. And when you hear laughter at the next table, you are convinced that your environment is also the most boring. People tend to compare everything all the time. We compare current events with past events. People with far-fetched ideals. We compare when we have to make a choice and not make a mistake. The process of comparison interferes with focus. When we are preoccupied with the outcome, we lose presence. Self-criticism. Self-criticism is the most common obstacle to success in any field. Imagine you are applying for a position that is important to you and you have an interview coming up. As the appointed day approaches, your inner critic recalls all your past failures and setbacks, convincing you that you will fail this time too. Your insecurity and excitement increase. Nothing destroys charisma like the voice of the inner critic. The mind does not distinguish between internal and external criticism, so it perceives all these accusations as a real threat. In response to the threat, our body triggers instincts at the level of hit or run. Adrenaline and cortisol start to be released, heart rate increases, and breathing becomes more rapid. The body is preparing to survive. Everything that does not contribute to this goes into the background. Among other things, the ability to think. Insecurity. Self-doubt is a lack of belief that we are capable of achieving something of value and necessity. To us, insecurity can manifest itself through imposter syndrome. People who suffer from it believe that they occupied their positions undeservedly and are constantly waiting to be exposed. Since this syndrome was first mentioned, it has been found that over 70% of people have experienced it in one way or another. Note the fact that the most effective people are more likely to experience this syndrome. Why do we need this negativity? All these negative feelings are a side mechanism of the survival instinct. For example, fear, insecurity make us act to solve a problem. After all, if we are really in a dangerous situation, mobilizing the body is definitely a very valuable ability. And in times when humanity was struggling to survive, it was relevant. But the fact is that everything that we now try to perceive as danger is not dangerous to our lives at all, and our instincts today are mostly working against us, overcoming obstacles, regardless of which of the four experiences above you are experiencing. They are processed by the following 3 steps. Step 1. Destigmatizing the discomfort. Destigmatizing the experience is reducing the impact of the negative experience by realizing that it is only part of the broad spectrum of human experience and all the people of our planet, 7 billion, are familiar with this feeling as well. If you feel depressed, ashamed, or afraid, remember that you are not alone in your experience and someone right now is feeling the same way you are. Step 2. Neutralize negativity. Neutralize negative thoughts by understanding the fact that your thoughts are not necessarily true and right. Think of the example of Tom and Paul. Even though Paul noticed the reflection of negativity on his partner's face, he had no reason to attribute the reaction to himself. We rely on the belief that our mind's conclusions about reality are perfectly natural and fair. In fact, however, our minds often interpret reality in very distorted ways. Researchers at Harvard University conducted a study in which they asked a group of people to watch a video of a basketball game and count the exact number of passes between members of one of the teams. Somewhere in the middle of the movie, a man in a gorilla suit came onto the court. When the participants were asked if they had seen the ape, most admitted that they hadn't noticed anything, although the ape even waved to the cameraman. We are where our attention is, and the capacity of our attention is limited. To make sense of the sea of information around us, the brain filters only that part of it that we asked it to, that was important to us. So the picture of reality we receive is very narrow and one-sided. Among other things, our mind, trying to protect us, looks for danger in everything, so it focuses on negativity and threat. Mary is a young graphic designer, but she has already been entrusted to lead a project for a major client of the firm. Today Mary received a call from her colleague Jim, who is also the client's firm representative. Jim was full of compliments. In the conversation, he kept repeating how much he appreciated her work, but added that his boss has not yet been able to appreciate them. However, Jim expressed confidence that after Mary's presentation, his boss would change his mind. There were so many positive things in that phone conversation that Mary could concentrate on, but of course, she dwelled on the only negative point. She didn't impress the boss, and that could have a future impact on an upcoming crucial presentation. When your brain paints scary scenarios for your situation, Remember that it's impossible to have a 100% perception of reality. Your brain may be missing positive factors. In any case, the main thing is not to fight negative thoughts. If you are asked not to think about the white elephant, you will only think about it. Everything you try to suppress becomes the center of your attention. You should try to neutralize it, not fight it. Step 3. Rethink reality. Imagine a Monday morning. You are driving a car. In half an hour you have an important presentation. Suddenly a big black SUV cuts you off on the right. Now he drives ahead of you and continues to behave inappropriately. Then slowing down, then accelerating. Next, this SUV, ignoring all cars, also sharply returns to the right. This whole situation is pretty stressful. It's hard to calm down. But you know that you have to perform now, and it is impossible to perform in such a state. To suppress such emotions for the body is very harmful. So what's the solution? What if you imagine that the driver of this Jeep is a distraught mother whose son started choking and she tried to get out of the lane faster to stop and help him? Would you be calmer then? Most people would. Deciding to change your mind about what happened is a much more effective and healthy way than suppressing your emotions. After all, in most situations, we really don't know for sure what happened that caused people to act the way they did. So we can explain things to ourselves in a way that would be good for our psycho-emotional state, and therefore for our charisma. The same placebo effect works here. The mind does not distinguish fiction from reality. Step for stash trump card, comfort from discomfort. This method is like a trump card in your deck. Use it when there is no more time for preparation and the question of your effectiveness comes to a head. Imagine that you have already boarded the plane, but the takeoff is delayed. You're stuck here. It gets very hot, you can't breathe, and the infant next to you starts screaming. You don't know when it's gonna end. Your irritation is building. How do you stop it? Instead of trying to disown the negative experiences, immerse yourself in them completely. Focus on those experiences. First, it will give you an object to focus on instead of looking for new reasons to complain. And secondly, you immediately become present. This technique is called immersion in sensation. Side effects of charisma. The object of admiration and envy in one person. The more attractive you become, the more you cause, on the one hand, admiration, and on the other hand, envy. Sometimes it is useful to reduce your charisma a little. To minimize fame means to emphasize the contribution of others to your success. This is a great way to avoid a resentment and misunderstandings, generating pride and loyalty in return. It allows people to feel ownership and responsibility for your success. People can reveal too much to you. Representatives of benevolent charisma can create a special field of safety around themselves. The atmosphere of this field provokes people to the utmost sincerity, a sincerity for which they may not be ready. Returning to his habitual environment, a person may begin to regret what he has said, will feel shame. At the very least, he will not want to go back to the person he opened up to. You should never let people open up more than they want to, and it's your job to say stop in time. Exaggerated demands. From charismatic people we expect outstanding results, not giving them the opportunity to lose. In case of failure, criticism in their address is much sharper than in the direction of ordinary people. The pressure to outdo themselves is so strong that it can kill. What's the solution? To remain human, to show your weaknesses, your vulnerability. Vulnerability brings you closer to others. In addition, seeing you as a human being, people stop building inflated expectations. In Bill Clinton's career, the decision to show his weaknesses was crucial in the 1992 presidential election. Clinton was trailing his rivals, and political commentators were convinced he would fail. But Clinton's team used an unconventional move. Instead of emphasizing his strengths, they talked about Bill's troubled childhood and difficult family situation. The result, the percentage of voters soared from 33 to 77. It's pretty lonely at the top. If you become superhuman in the eyes of others, it's hard for them to associate with you. And you are likely to feel that you are distancing yourself. This can lead to your isolation and a feeling of loneliness. This is a problem for many senior managers, especially those with power charisma who need feedback and advice from their employees, but have stopped getting it or are not getting enough. Sometimes charisma is useful to contain. Conclusion: heuristic behavior is a skill that anyone can develop through constant practice. The three most important aspects of charismatic behavior are presence, power, and warmth. For charisma, what you broadcast non-verbally is far more important than the words you speak. But since body language is a reflection of our psycho-emotional state, we must learn to control it. Since the human mind does not distinguish fact from fiction, imagination can greatly enhance or inhibit your charisma. Tools that can help you in managing your psycho-emotional state: visualization, practicing states such as gratitude, benevolence, empathy, and self-compassion, managing your thoughts through appropriate postures, becoming a big gorilla or adopting a role pose, conducting warm-ups before key events. There are different leadership styles and personalities, so there are different types of charisma: focused charisma, inspirational charisma, benevolent charisma, commanding charisma. When choosing a style, rely on 3 criteria: your personality, your goals, and specific situations. The right, in terms of charisma, psycho-emotional state is hindered by the physical and mental discomfort you feel, which is reflected in your body language. If you could not foresee all the circumstances in advance and at the moment of an important meeting you feel physical discomfort, then, before others interpret everything in their own way, explain to them what is really happening to you. Mental discomfort is even more damaging to us than physical discomfort. We may delve into self-criticism, experience anxiety caused by uncertainty, dissatisfaction with comparison, and insecurity. All of the above negative feelings are a side mechanism of the survival instinct. You can cope with uncertainty through the exercise of transferring responsibility. In general, any of the above experiences can be handled by the following 3 steps to stigmatize the experience circle that our minds often interpret reality in a very distorted way, and our brains can overlook positive factors to rethink reality in a way that would be beneficial to our psycho-emotional state. In a situation where there is no time at all for this kind of work anymore, use the technique of immersing yourself in the experience. And before you start to apply all this, think about the fact that charisma, a powerful tool to influence other people, and in the wrong hands it turns into a formidable weapon. Think of Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin, Mao Zedong. Is charisma the key to success? No, but it can significantly help you in realizing your goals. In any case, it is not the charisma itself that matters, but what you use it for. Thank you all for listening to the end. If you liked it, don't forget to rate and subscribe to the channel. You can buy the full version of the book at the link in the description.